And here is the Writer's Almanac for Sunday, February the 16th, 2020. It was on this day, 1959, Fidel Castro took over as Prime Minister of Cuba. He was the son of a wealthy sugarcane farmer. He'd practiced law in Havana, but he became disillusioned with the government of Fulgencio Batista and formed the Cuban People's Party and overthrew the government. Whereupon he invited the wrath of the United States by nationalizing all the sugar plantations, many of which had absentee landlords in the United States. It's the birthday of historian Henry Adams, born Boston, 1838, grandson of John Quincy Adams, wrote several books of American history, and also his own dark and pessimistic autobiography, The Education of Henry Adams, in which he said that most Americans he had encountered had no time for thought. They saw and could see nothing beyond their day's work. Their attitude to the universe outside them was that of the deep-sea fish. It's the birthday of novelist Richard Ford, born Jackson, Mississippi, 1944, who has lived in 14 states as well as France and Mexico. At one time he had a townhouse on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, a house in Montana, a plantation house in Mississippi. Richard Ford said, "The really central thing is that no matter where I move, I always write, and I'm married to the same girl. All that other stuff is just filigree." And it's the birthday of the printer, Giambattista Bodoni, born in Saluzzo, Italy, 1740, who designed almost 300 typefaces. Here's a poem for today by Dorian Laux, entitled Mother's Day. I passed through the narrow hills of my mother's hips one cold morning and never looked back, until now, clipping her tough toenails, sitting on the bed's edge, combing out the tuft of hair at the crown where it ratted up while she slept, her thumbs locked into her fists, a gesture as old as she is, her blanched knees fallen together beneath a blue nightgown. The stroke took whole pages of words, random years torn from the calendar, the names of roses leaning over her driveway, cadenza, Great Western, American Beauty. She can't think, can't drink her morning tea, do her crossword puzzle in ink. She's afraid of everything, the sound of the front door opening, light falling through the blinds, pulls her legs up so the bright bars won't touch her feet. I help her with the buttons on her sweater. She looks hard at me and says the word sleeve. Exactly, I tell her, and her face relaxes for the first time in weeks. I lie down next to her on the flowered sheets and tell her a story about the day she was born, head first into a hard world, the Great Depression, shanties, Hoovervilles, railroads and unions. I tell her about Amelia Earhart, and she asks, "Air?" and points to the ceiling, asks, "Heart?" and points to her chest. "Yes," I say. I sing Cole Porter songs. "Brother, can you spare a dime?" When I recite lines from Gone with the Wind, she sits up and says, "Potatoes." And I say, "Right again." I read her Sandberg, some Frost, and she closes her eyes. I say, "Yes, yes," and tuck her in. It's summer. She's tired. No one knows where she's been. Mother's Day, a poem by Dorian Laux from her collection Only as the Day is Long, published by W.W. Norton and Company, and used by permission here on the Writer's Almanac. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.